In the pitch-black night of Newhaven's outskirts, icy rain lashed against the windshield. Laila Carter, an Air Force officer, drove through the darkness, her sharp eyes weary from a long mission. Suddenly, red and blue lights flashed behind her, and a cop approached, his gaze cold, hand hovering near his gun. "Get out of the car," he barked, offering no reason. Laila, a black woman, felt the familiar weight of injustice settle in. "Why?" she asked, voice steady. He sneered, "Don't ask, just do it. An unjust arrest, a corrupt system, and a woman who refuses to bow. Will Laila dismantle the darkness or be swallowed by it?" Hit like to support, share to spread the call for justice, and subscribe to catch this inspiring story. Let's dive in. The frigid night in Newhaven, Georgia was cloaked in a misty drizzle, coating the deserted road with a glossy sheen that reflected the faint glow of streetlights. Major Laila Carter, 34, an Air Force intelligence officer, gripped the wheel of her rented SUV, her sharp eyes glinting under flickering light. Her curly hair was tied neatly back, her black jacket hugging a toned frame, betraying no hint of her military identity, fresh from a grueling 3-month stint in Afghanistan. The car's radio softly played a smooth jazz tune, Ella Fitzgerald's velvet rhythm soothing Laila's mind. All she craved was home, her mother's embrace, a warm family meal, the comfort she'd longed for through endless nights in a war zone. But when red and blue lights flared in her rearview mirror, Laila's heart skipped, not from fear but from a painfully familiar sting. Another baseless stop, likely because she was a black woman. She took a deep breath, whispering, "Stay calm, Laila. You face worse." She pulled over, killed the engine, kept her hands on the wheel, and glanced at her smartwatch. Subtly pressing record, a habit honed from tense encounters at Kabul checkpoints. A tall figure emerged from the patrol car, heavy boots scraping the asphalt. Sergeant Daniel Bryce, about 40. His steel-cold eyes glinting, right hand near his holster, left holding a flashlight that he aimed directly at Laila's window. The blinding beam meant to make her squint. He rapped on the glass, his voice curt and commanding. "License and registration. Now." Laila offered a slight smile, her tone calm but edged. "Good evening, Sergeant Bryce. Have I violated anything?" Bryce smirked, his gaze sweeping over her with thinly veiled contempt. "Don't ask questions. Hand it over." Laila tilted her head, smile intact. "Sergeant Daniel Bryce, I'm entitled to know why I'm being stopped." "Correct. This vehicle was within the speed limit. Lights fully functional. So, what's the reason?" She deliberately repeated his name, her voice clear for the recording. Bryce let out a dry chuckle, aiming the flashlight into her eyes. "Smart one, huh? Faulty taillight. Give me the papers, no stalling." Laila's brow furrowed, her voice steady. "Faulty? This car was inspected last week, Sergeant. Want me to step out and check with you?" She slowly opened the glove compartment, retrieving her documents, her eyes never leaving Bryce. He snatched them, glaring. "Don't tell me how to do my job. What's in that bag on the back seat? Drugs? Guns?" Laila's tone cooled. "Clothes, Sergeant. I'm back from a mission. Want to search, follow protocol. But first, give me a lawful reason for the stop." Bryce sneered, stepping closer, his breath fogging in the cold air. "You want to play lawyer? Get out of the car now." Laila inhaled deeply, her eyes locked on Bryce. Sensing the tension in the air like a taut string about to snap, she'd faced similar moments at Middle Eastern checkpoints where one wrong move could end in blood. "Get out for what, Sergeant Bryce? You still haven't stated my violation." Bryce slammed his hand on the car door, voice rising to a growl. "Resisting an officer. That reason enough, girl?" Laila's faint smile sharpened, her eyes like blades. "Resisting? I'm asking if you're following the law. If you're arresting me, state the charge." "I'm listening." Bryce, losing patience, yanked handcuffs from his belt, the steel glinting under the streetlight. "You want to be tough? Get out or I drag you out." Laila opened the door, stepping out to stand tall at 5 feet 9 inches, her posture calm but primed. Rain speckled her jacket, but she didn't blink. "Sergeant, you're making a big mistake. I'm not the one you want to mess with." Bryce advanced, eyes venomous. "You think you're somebody? Out here. I'm the law." He cuffed her, deliberately tightening until her wrists stung. Laila clenched her jaw, voice low and cutting. "The law? You're digging your own grave, Bryce. Remember that." He shoved her into the patrol car's back seat, the door slamming with a metallic clang like a verdict. Bryce slid into the driver's seat, muttering into his radio. "Bringing in a resistor to the station. Prep the paperwork." Through the partition, Laila stared at the back of his head, her voice icy. "Sergeant, you think you're in control, but you're wrong. Tonight, you picked the wrong fight." Bryce spun, eyes flashing with anger. "You talk too much. At the station, I'll teach you to shut up." Laila didn't reply, her gaze unwavering, lips curling into a cold smile. Her smartwatch continued recording every word from Bryce's self-inflicted wound. As the patrol car rolled into the darkness, Laila whispered to herself, "Just wait. Bryce, the truth will find you." In that moment, she wasn't just a detainee, she was a warrior ready to confront the system looming ahead. In the stale, damp air of Newhaven's police station lockup, the scent of old concrete mingled with burnt coffee. Flickering fluorescent lights cast restless shadows across the gray stone floor. Laila Carter sat on a cold metal bench, her wrists aching from the too tight handcuffs Sergeant Daniel Bryce had clamped on her. Dressed in her black jacket, hair neatly tied back, her sharp eyes remained calm, a warrior biding her time. 15 years in the Air Force, from sleepless nights analyzing intelligence to facing danger in war zones, had forged her into someone who mastered her emotions. This was just another challenge, but on her home soil where she never expected to fight. Laila breathed deeply, feeling the smartwatch hidden under her sleeve still silently recording. Her phone had been confiscated upon arrival, but Bryce hadn't noticed the watch, a small but game-changing advantage. She whispered to herself, "Stay calm. The truth will win." Heavy footsteps echoed, steady as a drumbeat. Bryce appeared before the bars, arms crossed, a smug grin curling his lips. "Like your new cage, smart girl," he taunted, tilting his head as if inspecting a trapped animal. "You think you're tough, but no one's listening to you here." Laila looked up, her gaze slicing through him. "Really, Sergeant? Then why do I hear fear in your voice? Scared I know something?" Bryce laughed, but the sound was hollow, forced. "Fear? I've been doing this for 20 years. Nobody's like you don't faze me." He stepped closer to the bars, his voice dropping to a menacing hiss. "You'd better shut up. The more you talk, the worse you make it for yourself." Layla's faint smile didn't waver, her eyes locked on his. "Worse for me, or for you? I'm wondering, who's got your back? Sergeant? Who's making you bold enough to arrest someone without cause?" Bryce froze, a flicker of panic in his eyes before he masked it with a shrug. "You like playing detective, huh? You don't know anything." He tapped the bars, his tone mocking. "Sit tight. By morning, you'll see I'm right." Laila tilted her head, her voice soft but razor-sharp. "Morning? I think you're the one who should worry about tomorrow, Bryce. Every word you're saying is being recorded, and I bet whoever's behind you won't be happy you're slipping up." Bryce stiffened, eyes narrowing. "Recorded? You think I'm stupid? Your phone's in my desk drawer." Layla's smile widened, her gaze glinting like a hidden ace. "Who said anything about a phone? You should have checked better, Sergeant." Bryce opened his mouth to retort, but a voice cut through. Sergeant Bryce, a young officer, Caleb Nguyen, approached, clutching a stack of papers. His eyes tense but resolute. Around 23 with a round face, he radiated nervous determination. "Sir, there's a call from the Air Force. A colonel, they want to talk to the chief about the arrest." Bryce whipped around, snarling, "What call? Don't waste my time, Nguyen." Caleb swallowed hard, gripping the papers. "I'm just passing it on, Sergeant. It's Colonel Ramsey, and they're asking why she's here." Bryce glared at Caleb, then turned back to Laila, his eyes burning. "You called someone, didn't you? Think you can scare me?" Laila shrugged, her tone light but defiant. "I didn't call anyone, Sergeant, but looks like you called trouble on yourself. Didn't bother checking my background before cuffing me? Or do you think everyone's an easy target?" Bryce slammed his hand against the bars, the metal clanging sharply. "You like playing smart, but I'll make you regret it." He spun to Caleb, barking, "What are you standing there for? Get to work." Caleb stepped back, his eyes briefly meeting Layla's, a hint of guilt in them, as Bryce stormed off, his heavy footsteps echoing down the hall. Caleb slipped back to the bars. He quickly slid a water bottle through the gap, a small folded note tucked beneath. "Be careful," he whispered, voice trembling. "I'll try to help." He hurried away. As if afraid of being caught, Laila grabbed the bottle, unfolding the note. Scrawled in hasty handwriting, "Bryce isn't alone. Someone bigger's behind him. Trust no one here." She refolded, her pulse quickening. Caleb Nguyen, an unexpected ally. She didn't know him, but his eyes betrayed a conscience burdened by witnessing too much wrong and refusing to stay silent. A phone rang at the duty desk, an officer's urgent voice rising. "Colonel Ramsey from the Air Force. They want to see the chief now. It's about the woman in lockup." Laila smiled in the dimness, leaning against the cold wall. Bryce might think he held the power, but he didn't know about her watch's recording, Caleb's note, or the call from her superiors. With every passing second, the noose was tightening around Bryce's neck. She closed her eyes, breathing deeply, whispering, "Just one night. I just need to get through tonight." But a bigger question loomed. Who was behind Bryce? A higher-up in the station? A politician? Or a larger network she couldn't yet see? Laila opened her eyes, the fluorescent light reflecting in her pupils like fire. She wasn't just fighting to get out, she was fighting for those without a voice, like her brother, killed a decade ago in a baseless police stop. Bryce had picked the wrong adversary, and she'd make him pay. The lock clattered at the hall's end, another officer appearing, voice booming. "Sergeant Bryce, the chief wants you now. It's about the Air Force case." Bryce returned, his eyes flashing with rage but tinged with fear. He glared at Laila through the bars. "You wait," he growled. "This isn't over." Layla's smile was low and cutting. "Oh, Sergeant, it's only just begun." As Bryce's footsteps faded, Laila clutched Caleb's note, her eyes burning with resolve. The lockup's darkness couldn't hold her. The truth, like a smoldering flame, was growing, and Laila knew she'd be the one to fan it into a blaze. Morning light streamed through the high windows of the Newhaven courthouse, casting golden streaks across the polished wooden floor, but the air in the courtroom was taut as a bowstring. Laila Carter stood at the plaintiff's table, her black suit sharp against her frame, eyes like honed blades, unwavering. Beside her, attorney Sophia Reyes, 40, flipped through a stack of documents, her gaze cold and predatory, ready to strike. Across the room, Sergeant Daniel Bryce sat in the witness chair, his police uniform crisp but his shoulders slightly slumped, eyes starting to avoid the growing unease. The packed gallery buzzed with whispers from reporters and the public. Judge Evelyn Harper, 58, her silver hair glinting in the light, rapped her gavel, her voice commanding. "We proceed with the case of Major Carter's arrest by Sergeant Bryce. Ms. Reyes, present your argument." Sophia rose, her voice clear and cutting. "Your Honor, we have irrefutable evidence that Sergeant Bryce arrested Major Carter without lawful cause. Furthermore, his record reveals a pattern of abuse of power, targeting vulnerable community members." She held up a small device, her eyes sweeping the room. "This is a recording from Major Carter's smartwatch on the night of her arrest." She pressed play, and Bryce's voice filled the room, menacing. "You want to play lawyer? Get out of the car, now." Layla's calm, sharp response followed. "If you're arresting me, state the charge." "I'm listening." The gallery stirred, some shaking their heads in outrage. Sophia continued, "This recording proves Sergeant Bryce had no legal grounds for the arrest. But there's more." She signaled and a large screen descended. "This is footage from Bryce's dashcam." The video played, Bryce aiming his flashlight at Layla's face, provoking her, tightening cuffs harshly on her wrists, muttering into his radio, bringing in a resistor to the station. The crowd's murmurs grew louder, reporters scribbling frantically. Laila locked eyes with Bryce, her voice icy. "Sergeant, you call that duty? Or just your way of silencing people?" Bryce flushed, his voice shaky. "She didn't comply. I was doing my job." But his eyes slid away, unable to meet hers. Sophia stepped forward, holding a file. "Your job? Your record shows a 2012 lawsuit accusing you of assaulting a black man during an arrest. Evidence vanished and you walked free." "Not this time, Sergeant." She faced the judge. "We request all charges against Major Carter be dropped and a full investigation into Bryce's conduct." Judge Harper frowned, peering at Bryce over her glasses. "Sergeant, how do you explain this arrest?" Bryce cleared his throat, trying to steady himself. "Your Honor, Major Carter was uncooperative, challenging me. I followed protocol to ensure safety." Layla's faint smile cut like a knife. "Protocol? You didn't state a lawful reason, didn't read my rights, and cuffed me like a dangerous criminal. That's your protocol, Bryce?" Bryce opened his mouth, but Sophia cut in, her voice sharp. "Let's let a witness clarify." She called. "Officer Caleb Nguyen, take the stand." Caleb, in uniform, stepped forward, eyes trembling but resolute. He stood at the podium, hands clenched. "I'm Officer Caleb Nguyen, under Sergeant Bryce's command. I've seen him pressure colleagues to falsify reports in multiple arrests. He said someone higher up would clean up any trouble." The gallery erupted in gasps. Bryce shot up, shouting, "You're lying. You've got no proof." Caleb took a deep breath, glancing at Laila as if drawing strength. "I do, Sergeant. I kept a copy of a falsified report you made me write last month, and I saw you take an envelope from a man at the Aurora Hotel." Laila gave a subtle nod, her eyes flashing approval. Sophia turned to the judge. "Your Honor, Officer Nguyen's testimony suggests Sergeant Bryce isn't acting alone. A larger force is at play, and we'll uncover it." Judge Harper nodded, her voice stern. "Officer Nguyen, you mentioned an envelope at the Aurora Hotel. Any details about the man who gave it?" Caleb swallowed, his voice low but clear. "I didn't see his face clearly, but he was about 50, in a suit. Looked powerful. Bryce called him the boss in a call I overheard." Bryce paled, gripping the table's edge. Laila whispered to Sophia, "We're touching something bigger." Sophia nodded, voice hushed. "Yes, but we need more evidence to drag the mastermind into the light." Judge Harper rapped her gavel, her tone final. "All charges against Major Carter are dismissed. Sergeant Bryce, you're suspended immediately pending investigation." "Officer Nguyen, thank you for your courage." Applause broke out, but Laila didn't smile. She fixed Bryce with an icy stare. "You thought you'd get away, but the truth's closing in, Sergeant." Bryce glared back, voice trembling. "You don't know who you're messing with." Laila tilted her head, her voice low and piercing. "Then let me find out." As Bryce was escorted out, Caleb approached Laila, eyes still tense. I don't know if I did the right thing, but I couldn't stay silent anymore." Laila placed a hand on his shoulder, her voice warm. "You chose truth, Caleb. That's the best thing you've ever done." Sophia pulled Laila aside, whispering, "Caleb mentioned the Aurora Hotel. I'll check security footage and Bryce's bank transactions. But Laila, if there's a boss, we're wading into dangerous waters." Laila nodded, her eyes blazing. "Dangerous? I face bombs in Afghanistan, Sophia. A corrupt network won't stop me." She glanced at the window, sunlight bathing her face. "They took my brother 10 years ago over a baseless stop. I won't let anyone else suffer like that." Sophia smiled, eyes fierce. "Then we keep going. Caleb might know more. I'll set up a meeting with him tonight." Laila nodded, her gaze afire that wouldn't be quenched. She knew the fight wasn't over. Bryce was just the surface, and the boss, the puppet master, still lurked in the shadows. But Laila was ready, with evidence in hand, Caleb's support, and Sophia's resolve. She'd tear through the darkness to find the light. The warm golden glow of a small Newhaven suburb cafe did little to ease the tension enveloping the air. Laila Carter sat in a shadowed corner, a cold black coffee and a thin stack of papers from attorney Sophia Reyes before her. Her sharp eyes scanned each line, pausing at a handwritten note. "Check Bryce's accounts, unusual transactions. $12,000 monthly from an unknown company." Laila frowned, sensing she was brushing the edge of a darker secret than she'd imagined. She glanced out the window, where streetlights flickered in the misty rain, her heart heavy. Today, in court, she'd gotten Bryce suspended, but Caleb Nguyen's words about a big boss and the Aurora Hotel haunted her. Who backed Bryce? A police chief? Politician? Or a larger force woven into the city's machinery? The cafe door jingled, and Caleb entered. Not in his police uniform, but a gray hoodie, his young face etched with worry. He scanned the room, spotted Laila, and hurried to sit across from her. "Thanks for coming," he said, voice low, hands gripping the table's edge. I'm not sure I should be doing this." Laila tilted her head, her gaze soft but piercing. "Caleb, you stood up in court today. Not everyone has that courage. But you're not here just to thank me, are you? What do you know about the Aurora Hotel?" Caleb took a deep breath, his eyes betraying an inner struggle. I found something in Bryce's patrol car after he was suspended." He pulled a crumpled paper from his pocket, sliding it across. "This. An appointment. Aurora Hotel, room 405, 9 p.m. tomorrow." Laila unfolded the note, reading quickly, Aurora 4:05, 9 p.m. Friday. Don't be late. She looked up, voice low. You think this is it? A meeting with the big boss? Caleb nodded, his voice trembling. I'm not sure, but I've seen Bryce go to the Aurora a few times. He took envelopes from a man who looked powerful. I heard Bryce call him the Fixer. Laila tapped her fingers on the table, eyes glinting. The Fixer. Any clues about this guy? Name? Face? Caleb shook his head, eyes apologetic. I didn't dare ask. Bryce always watched me. But this time, I think he'll be at 405. If you want the truth. That's your shot. Laila smiled, her tone resolute. A shot? That's a door, Caleb. But I need you to be straight. Are you tied to Bryce's mess? If we dig deeper, it'll get dangerous. Caleb looked down, hands shaking slightly. I'm not involved, I swear. But I stayed quiet too long. My mom raised me to do right, but I was scared of losing my job. Bryce said if I didn't obey, I'd never be a cop again. He looked up, eyes steadier. I'm tired of fear. If you go, I'm with you. Laila nodded, respect in her gaze. All right, Caleb, we're a team now. But if we go into the Aurora, you need to be ready to face whoever's there. She pulled out her phone, texting Sophia. New lead, Aurora, room 405, 9 p.m. tomorrow. Check security cams and Bryce's accounts. Sophia replied instantly. I'll dig, but Laila, be careful. This isn't just Bryce. Laila pocketed her phone, looking at Caleb. Gear up. Tomorrow night, we meet the Fixer. Friday night draped the Aurora Hotel in darkness, its luxurious facade glowing with golden lobby lights. Laila stood in a shadowed corner near the entrance, a baseball cap and black jacket blending her into the night. Beside her, Caleb clutched a small camera from Sophia, hands trembling but eyes resolute. You sure? He whispered. If they spot us, there's no way out. Laila placed a hand on his shoulder, voice low and firm. Caleb, I've stood on the edge of life and death in deserts. This is just another fight. Record everything. And don't let them see you're scared. Caleb nodded, activating the camera. Through the lobby's glass, they saw a man step from a sleek black car, Councilman Marcus Vaughn, Newhaven's former police chief, about 50. His gray suit exuding authority. He held a thick envelope, eyes scanning like a predator's. Laila whispered, That's him. Record. Caleb adjusted the angle, capturing Vaughn handing the envelope to another man, his face obscured in shadow. Vaughn strode to the hallway toward room 405, the door ajar, light spilling through the crack. Laila signaled, pulling Caleb along. They moved silently down the plush red carpet, steps nearly soundless. Vaughn's voice drifted from 405, low and tense. Bryce screwed it up. If she digs deeper, the whole system collapses. A colder voice replied, Don't panic, Marcus. Bryce will stay quiet. But Carter, she's trouble. The Air Force is backing her, and her lawyer's too good. Laila's blood surged, eyes flashing with anger. She whispered to Caleb, Get it all. This is our proof. But before Caleb could adjust the shot, sharp footsteps echoed behind them. A tall security guard, hand on his radio, barked. What are you two doing here? Laila turned, her gaze calm. We got lost, looking for the banquet hall. The guard narrowed his eyes, pointing at Caleb's camera. Hand that over. I know what you're up to. Laila stepped in front of Caleb, her voice ice. Call the cops. I'd love to see who shows up to protect Councilman Vaughn. The guard hesitated, unease flickering in his eyes. The door to 405 swung open, and Vaughn emerged, his gaze cutting like a blade when he saw Laila. Major Carter, he said, voice smooth but laced with threat. You have a habit of showing up where you're not wanted, don't you? Laila stood tall, unflinching. Councilman Vaughn, I'm just chasing the truth. Seems you're hiding more than I thought. Vaughn's smirk was strained. The truth? You're digging into something you can't comprehend. Bryce is a pawn, but you won't touch me. Caleb, voice trembling but firm, spoke up. We've got video, Mr. Vaughn. You took an envelope tonight, and we know you're shielding Bryce. You think you're untouchable, but the truth will bring you down. Vaughn turned to Caleb, fury flaring. Who are you? Some rookie cop daring to threaten me. Laila stepped closer, her voice razor sharp. He's someone who chose justice over you. I know you're behind Bryce's network, and I won't stop until the world knows. Vaughn fell silent, his eyes wavering between rage and fear. The guard advanced, growling, "Get out, or you'll regret it." Laila pulled out her phone, Sophia's number glowing on the screen. One call, and the press knows what Vaughn's doing in room 405. "Wanna roll the dice?" Vaughn raised a hand, signaling the guard to back off. "You're clever, Major," he said, voice low, "but you're playing a dangerous game. Walk away and I'll leave you alone." Laila's smile burned. "Alone? I don't need your pity, Councilman. We'll meet again in court." She motioned to Caleb and they left the hallway, hearts pounding but steps steady. In the lobby, Caleb exhaled. "You scared the hell out of me. But we got proof, right?" Laila checked Caleb's camera, nodding. "Video, audio, and the truth. But Vaughn won't go down easy. We need Sophia and the Air Force to take him out." She gazed at Newhaven streets, lights shimmering in the night. This fight wasn't just for her. It was for her brother, for Caleb, for everyone crushed by the system. She whispered, "We'll find the light, no matter how thick the darkness." The Newhaven courthouse buzzed with the crowd's whispers, like waves crashing before a storm. Early morning light filtered through high windows, illuminating packed wooden benches filled with reporters, officials, and citizens. Laila Carter stood at the plaintiff's table, her black suit exuding resolve, her eyes blazing like an unquenchable fire. Beside her, Sophia Reyes flipped through documents, her gaze icy and ready to strike. Across the room, Councilman Marcus Vaughn sat rigid, his gray suit pristine but unable to mask the tension in his clenched hands. His eyes swept the room, feigning confidence, but lingered on the back corner where his daughter, Mia Vaughn, 19, sat in a wheelchair. Mia, with disheveled brown hair and green eyes mirroring her father's, gripped the armrests, her gaze heavy with grief yet resolute. For years ago, a car accident caused by Vaughn's drunk driving stole her ability to walk. Since then, Mia lived in the shadow of loss, not just physical, but of the father she once idolized. Today, she wasn't here to support him, but to seek answers. Who is he, and was there still room in his heart for her? Judge Evelyn Harper banged her gavel, her voice commanding. "We proceed with the trial of Councilman Marcus Vaughn, charged with evidence tampering, bribery, and abetting police misconduct. Ms. Reyes, present your case." Sophia rose, her voice razor-sharp. "Your Honor, we have undeniable evidence." She held up a USB drive. "This video from the Aurora Hotel captures Councilman Vaughn receiving a cash envelope from an unidentified associate. His accounts show $15,000 monthly deposits from a shell company. Officer Caleb Nguyen testified that Vaughn coerced young officers into falsifying reports." The gallery stirred. Sophia pressed on. "This isn't mere personal corruption. It's a system Vaughn built, exploiting the vulnerable to maintain power." Vaughn gave a faint smile, his voice smooth. "Your Honor, this is a farce. Those transactions were legitimate, the video just a business meeting. I've served Newhaven for 20 years. I don't need dirty money." Laila's fists clenched, her eyes flaring. "Served," she said, her voice low but cutting. "You call shielding men like Bryce, letting them trample citizens, service? You built a system that strangles justice, and you dare call it dedication." Vaughn turned, his gaze cold. "Major, I understand your pain, but don't turn a personal vendetta into a political weapon. You have no direct evidence against me." Sophia cut in, her voice like ice. "No direct evidence. We have bank records, video, and testimony. Who do you think the jury will believe? A councilman with a shady past, or those standing for truth?" Vaughn's smile lingered, his eyes flicking to his lawyers, their gazes cold and powerful. Laila realized Vaughn was shielded by a larger force, perhaps a high-ranking official or a network beyond Newhaven. Judge Harper reviewed the documents, her voice pensive. "Ms. Reyes, your evidence is compelling. But to convict Councilman Vaughn, we need a direct link to criminal acts. Mr. Vaughn, your response." Vaughn stood, his tone slick. "I'm a victim of a smear campaign. I didn't control anyone. Bryce acted alone." Laila's heart tightened. Sophia whispered, "He's got backing. We need a knockout blow." Laila's eyes scanned the room, landing on Mia. The young woman gripped her armrests, tears glistening but eyes resolute. Laila knew of the accident 4 years ago, when Vaughn's drunken crash left Mia paralyzed. Since then, he'd plunged into power, building a corrupt network to atone and to hide his guilt. In a letter to her late mother, Mia had written that she felt like a burden, longing for the father who once read her bedtime stories. Laila stood, her voice ringing clear. "Your Honor, I have a question for Councilman Vaughn. You say you serve Newhaven, but have you thought of those hurt by your system? People like my brother, killed in a baseless stop? And what about Mia, your daughter, sitting there, watching her father defend an unjust network?" Vaughn paled, his eyes darting to Mia. She bowed her head, hands trembling, tears streaming. The room fell silent, the air suffocating. Laila continued, her voice softer but powerful. "I know about the accident, Mr. Vaughn. You were driving that night, weren't you? You blame yourself for Mia's paralysis. You thought power and money could make up for it, but Mia doesn't need a father who bribes cops. She needs one who faces the truth." Vaughn trembled, his voice a growl. "You have no right to bring up my daughter." But his tone cracked, torn by pain. Mia, struggling to her feet with crutches, spoke, her voice breaking through the courtroom. "Dad, stop it. I know you did this for me, but I can't live with your lies. I just want the dad I had, the one who taught me about honesty." Tears poured down her face, her eyes pained but unwavering. "I know you covered up the accident, covered up what you've done. I can't take it anymore." The gallery buzzed, Vaughn collapsing into his chair, hands covering his face, shoulders shaking. Laila whispered to Sophia. "Now." Sophia held up another USB, her voice cutting. "Your Honor, we've just received new evidence. A recording from an anonymous officer, capturing a call between Mr. Vaughn and a senior official discussing the cover-up of Bryce's actions." Judge Harper donned earphones, listened, her eyes darkening. Vaughn looked up, his gaze hollow. He turned to Mia, tears streaming. "Mia, I'm sorry. I wanted you to have a future, to make up for my mistakes. But I was wrong." He faced the judge, voice shattered. "I plead guilty. To everything." The courtroom erupted in applause. Laila exhaled, her eyes meeting Mia's, who nodded faintly, tears falling but her expression lighter. Caleb, seated behind, squeezed Laila's hand, whispering, "You did it." Judge Harper banged her gavel. "Councilman Vaughn, based on your plea and the evidence, I find you guilty. This trial is concluded." She looked at Laila, respect in her eyes. "Major, you've done what few dared." Laila stepped outside, warm sunlight bathing her face. Mia, wheeled by a relative, called out, "Major, thank you. You gave my dad a chance to make amends. And me faith the truth still matters." Laila knelt, meeting Mia's eyes. "Mia, you're the hero today. You saved your dad and yourself." Laila rose, her gaze blazing. The fight for justice stretched ahead, but she knew she'd never stop, for Mia, for Caleb, and for the light of truth. Laila Carter's story is a powerful testament to the strength of courage, intelligence, and compassion in the fight for justice, facing baseless discrimination and a corrupt system. Laila refused to yield, relentlessly exposing the truth, from confronting the abusive Officer Bryce to unmasking Councilman Vaughn. Her journey teaches us that justice isn't handed down. It demands persistence, the boldness to challenge power, and unwavering faith in truth. Mia Vaughn's confrontation with her father shows how family love and honesty can shatter walls of corruption. Caleb, a young officer, reminds us that even small acts of bravery can shift systems. This story inspires us to speak out against injustice, no matter how small our voice. Have you witnessed unfairness and wanted to act? Share your story in the comments. Hit like to support justice, share to spread the message, and subscribe for more inspiring tales. Together, let's build a community where truth always has a voice.